Did you know that waiting just 48 hours right now could completely ruin your entire summer harvest? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the absolute urgency of early April planting. I am going to reveal the specific crops that are literally on the edge of timing right now. If you miss this tiny window, it will be incredibly too late. Most people think you have all of spring to leisurely plant your garden. They believe the danger of frost is the only thing to worry about. But they are completely wrong. There is a hidden danger in waiting too long, and it is quietly destroying gardens everywhere. Tell me in the comments below, what is the earliest seed you usually put in the dirt? Because by the end of this video, you might realize you have been doing it wrong for years. Let us get into it. To understand why we are rushing, we need to look at how nature actually works. Mother Nature does not care about the calendar hanging on your wall. Historically, successful farmers lived and died by soil temperature, not by the date of a holiday. Spring is incredibly tricky. The ground is finally thawing, and the days are getting longer. But there is a very tiny, magical window for cool weather lovers. These specific plants evolved over thousands of years to grow fast while there is still a chill in the air. If you miss this window, the sudden heat of June will absolutely destroy them. They will panic, produce bitter chemicals, and try to produce seeds instead of food. This is called bolting. We are in a race against the sun, and the starting gun has already fired. So let us start with the very first crop that is screaming to be planted right now. We are talking about sweet garden peas. If you look at your calendar and think you have plenty of time, you are walking into a trap. Peas absolutely crave cold soil. They thrive when the earth is still sending shivers up your spine. If you wait until the middle of April, or heaven forbid May, you are going to face a disaster. The moment the sun gets hot, pea vines simply give up. They stop producing flowers. They turn a sad, pale yellow. And the worst part is that any peas that do form will taste exactly like dry cardboard. A great illustration of this is the classic garden fence. Picture a beautiful, lush green wall of vines in early June. That only happens if you plant those seeds right now, in the very first days of April. There is a common myth that seeds will just rot if the ground is cool, but pea seeds are built like little armored tanks. They are designed by nature to sit in cold, damp earth and wait for the very first hint of spring sunlight. Do not wait another single day. Grab those seeds, soak them in water overnight, and get them into the ground tomorrow morning. Next up on the urgent list are radishes. This is the ultimate beginner crop, but it is also the easiest one to ruin if you miss the early April window. Radishes are the sprinters of the vegetable world. They can go from a tiny seed to a crunchy snack in just about 30 days. But this speed comes with a huge catch. They despise hot weather. If you plant them just a couple of weeks too late, the soil warms up too much. When radishes feel the heat, they go into absolute panic mode. Instead of growing a nice round juicy root, they shoot a tall flower stalk up into the air. This draws all the energy away from the part you actually want to eat. If you pull up a heat-stressed radish, it will be woody, tough, and incredibly spicy. It is completely inedible. Imagine biting into a piece of spicy wood. That is what you get if you wait until late April. The myth here is that radishes can be grown all summer long. That is simply false for most common varieties. You must get them into the cool spring earth right now. They need those chilly spring nights to develop their sweet, mild crunch. Plant them this weekend, or do not plant them at all. Now, we absolutely must talk about spinach. Spinach is incredibly dramatic. It is the gold standard for healthy greens, but it is also a massive diva when it comes to temperature. If you want those big, tender, dark green leaves for your salads, early April is your final boarding call. Spinach is so sensitive to daylight and heat that even a few days of warm spring sun will trigger its survival instincts. Just like the radish, it will bolt. But with spinach, the change is chemical. The plant floods its leaves with oxalic acid and other bitter compounds. Imagine picking a beautiful green leaf, putting it in your mouth, and having it taste like metallic battery acid. That is what late-planted spinach tastes like. People often wonder why their garden spinach tastes nothing like the sweet greens from the grocery store. It is almost always because they planted it far too late. A perfect illustration is a shade cloth. Even if you try to shade late spinach, the warm air alone is enough to ruin the flavor. You must capitalize on the freezing nights and cool days of early April. Do not listen to the myth that all plants want to be warm and cozy. Spinach wants to shiver. Moving on to a crop that literally runs on a solar clock. We are talking about onions. Whether you are planting from seeds or little bulbs called sets, the clock is ticking loudly. Onions are completely dependent on the number of daylight hours to trigger bulb formation. When the days reach a certain length in midsummer, the onion stops growing leaves and starts swelling underground. Here is why early April is critical. If you plant them late, the onion will not have enough time to grow a massive amount of leaves before the daylight trigger happens. Each leaf represents one ring of the onion. Fewer leaves mean a tiny, disappointing harvest. Imagine waiting months, watering and weeding, only to dig up onions the size of a golf ball. It is heartbreaking. By getting them in the ground right now, you give them a massive head start. They spend the cool weeks of April and May building a strong green foundation. Many beginners think they can just water them more later to make them grow bigger. That is a total myth. No amount of water or fertilizer can override the solar clock built into onion DNA. Get them in the dirt immediately so they can start building those leaves. Let us discuss the most frustrating seed in the entire garden. The carrot. Carrots are notoriously difficult to germinate. They take a very long time to wake up, sometimes up to 21 days. During this entire waiting period, the top layer of the soil must remain consistently moist. If it dries out for even a few hours, the tiny seed will die. This is exactly why early April is your secret weapon. In early spring, the weather is naturally on your side. The skies are cloudy, the rain falls gently, and the sun is not strong enough to bake the soil dry. If you wait until the end of April or May, you will be fighting a losing battle against the sun and the wind. You will be out there with a watering can twice a day, constantly worried about the dry crust forming on the dirt. Imagine trying to keep a wet sponge perfectly damp while it sits in the hot sun. That is late spring carrot planting. Plant them now and let the gentle April showers do the heavy lifting for you. Some folks believe that adding a ton of compost later will save late carrots. It will not. It is all about surface moisture in the first crucial weeks. Sow them now. Our sixth urgent crop is broccoli. If you have ever tried to grow broccoli and ended up with a bunch of tiny, loose yellow flowers instead of a big, tight green head, listen closely. You missed the early April window. Broccoli is a heavy feeder and a slow grower. It needs a long, cool period to build a massive root system and a thick stalk. Only a giant, healthy plant can support a massive broccoli crown. When you plant early, the broccoli enjoys the frosty mornings. It builds strength. If you plant late, the plant remains small and weak when the summer heat arrives. The heat stresses the small plant out. It panics and rushes to reproduce. It skips forming a solid head and immediately bursts into loose yellow flowers. This is called buttoning. Picture a tiny, weak stem desperately trying to hold up a handful of yellow weeds. That is your penalty for waiting. The biggest myth about broccoli is that you can just cut off the yellow flowers and it will grow a proper head later. It will absolutely not. The energy is spent. The plant is done. You must respect its need for cold establishment. Get those little broccoli plants into your garden soil before the weekend is over. Let us dig into a dual-purpose vegetable that is racing against time. Beets. Beets are amazing because you can eat the gorgeous red leaves and the sweet, earthy roots. But achieving that perfect, candy-like sweetness is entirely dependent on timing. Beets manufacture sugar in their leaves during the day, and then they store that sugar in their roots during cold nights. Those freezing early April nights are exactly what makes a beet taste amazing. If you wait until the nights are warm and humid, the beet burns up its energy just trying to survive. The resulting root will be pale, tough, and taste like literal dirt. There is no sweetness at all. Imagine roasting a beautiful tray of homegrown vegetables, only to bite into a beet that has the texture of a shoe sole. It ruins the whole meal. Many people think they hate beets because they have only ever eaten heat-stressed, late-planted beets from poor farms. You need to get those beet seeds into the ground while the nights are still biting cold. Do not wait for the soil to feel warm to your touch. If the ground is workable, it is time to plant your beets. They will thank you with incredible flavor later in the season. Finally, we come to the absolute kings of the early spring garden, the leafy lettuces. Whether you prefer crispy romaine or buttery Bib lettuce, they all share one fatal flaw. They absolutely melt in the heat. Early April is the prime time to create a massive bed of fresh greens. Lettuce seeds actually will not even germinate if the soil is too warm. They simply go dormant and refuse to wake up. This is a built-in survival mechanism. If you do manage to get them growing late in the season, the results are terrible. When lettuce gets hot, it shoots up a tall stalk and produces a thick, milky white sap in the leaves. This sap is incredibly bitter. It is literally toxic in large amounts, although you would never eat enough to hurt you because it tastes so foul. Think about the most refreshing, crisp, sweet salad you have ever eaten on a spring afternoon. Now compare that to chewing on a bitter dandelion weed from the sidewalk. That is the difference between planting today and planting next month. The myth that lettuce grows all summer is pushed by supermarkets that truck it in from cold climates. In your backyard, early April is your one and only chance for a perfect spring salad. Are you feeling the pressure yet? The biggest plot twist in all of this is that planting earlier actually means less work for you. By beating the heat, you also beat the massive wave of garden pests that wake up in late May. Your plants will be huge, strong, and completely unbothered by the bugs. That is the secret to a perfect spring garden. You must use the cold to your advantage. We have covered 8 incredible crops that are practically begging to be planted right now. If you wait, you are guaranteed to face bitter flavors, bolted flowers, and tiny harvests. Do not let this spring slip through your fingers. Grab your seeds, get out there, and get your hands dirty today. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. If this video saved you from a massive gardening mistake, please hit that subscribe button right now. Give the video a big thumbs up, and I have a question for you to answer in the comments. What is the one vegetable you always seem to plant too late? Let us talk about it down below, and I will see you in the next video.